We got some news to get into today, boys. We got 12.0.7, all kinds of stuff to talk about. Blizzard basically releasing the final patch notes for this patch. A lot of stuff to get into here. Some things that weren't previously announced, looking like UI updates and things that I wasn't aware of and probably a lot of other people weren't aware of. So let's just dive straight in here. First off, Blizzard giving us another Twitch drop. That's right, another Gurgle Twitch drop. This is another 4 hours of watching will get you the Twitch drop. This is the Cuddly Cotton Candy Gurgle. At this point, what have we had, like 3 or 4 of these? I think we've had 3 of these, maybe 4. So, I mean, you could have an entire shelf of these in your house at this point. Just Twitch drop Gurgles. Sitting there, you know, showing off your degeneracy every time one of these comes out. You're watching a stream for 4 hours. Now, again, you can watch this shitty-ass stream or any other more high-quality stream on Twitch for 4 hours, and you'll get yourself the Gurgle. There's directions here on how to connect your Twitch account to your Blizzard account to make sure you're getting credit and all that other stuff. So I'll link this in the chat and obviously down below the video if you're watching this. So pop on in. This thing will be going from June 16th until July 14th. You'll be able to watch 4 hours of any stream, continue watching through multiple streams, whatever it is, and unlock the Cuddly Cotton Candy Gurgle. That's right. All right. What is this all about? Why are they doing the Twitch drop, guys? It's 12.0.7. This thing drops next week. We're talking the next reset. We're getting a patch. Could be a long reset, by the way, but what are we going to be getting out of this long reset? There's a couple things in these extra long patch notes that I didn't even realize were coming, but here we go. Obviously, this one here, travel to Val and Najatel. That's right. We got these 2 big new zones opening up. Tons of world quests, 2 new world bosses in them. Now, just remember, these are going to open up one at a time, so they'll be alternating back and forth. So the first week that the patch goes live, we only have one of these to get into. So we'll get in. I don't know if it's going to be Val or Najatel. We'll go in there, do the quests, do the world bosses, do all the content. There's also heroic world tier with these things, which is going to up the ante in terms of item level, rewards, currencies, everything that you can get from this stuff is going to be up to the whole nother level when you do this on heroic world tier, which is supposedly like really difficult. The way it's been described by a lot of people who've been testing it on the PTRs, it's not really soloable at this point. Like, people got to get in there with groups, people got to get in there hoping there's other people doing stuff, because it's actually pretty hard, which is the way a heroic world tier should be. So that's pretty good to hear. Other than that, going through, doing this stuff, don't forget there's going to be a Mythic item level quest, which will take 4 weeks to get done. So you're going to want to maybe pick that up early and get started on that the first week. Obviously, you won't be able to get it until the 4th week has passed, but a piece of Myth track gear, which means you're going to have, I think it's belt, bracers, or back are your options for that. So yeah, should be a good one. If you want to get that quest done and pick it up early, you should get that started as soon as the patch goes live. Also, we have the Omnium Folio, right? The passive buff that's going to be basically active the rest of the expansion. And this is not just like a 12.0.7 content thing. This is going to go through the rest of the expansion for all the content you're doing. We're talking raids, we're talking Mythic Plus, we're talking delves, whatever it is that you want to do. This thing's going to be buffing you for doing that content. So this is a pretty cool little, it's different than your typical, like, oh, we got a ring or a belt or something to buff us this time. This is going to be a passive buff. It's kind of like a passive nerf, honestly, if you think about it, on all the content that currently exists. So you're going to get in here, start filling this thing out. I think it takes 5 weeks or 6 weeks to actually fill out the entire tree and get fully buffed out. Another time, get a piece of content, I know. But the Omnium Folio will be our little power buff going into this patch here. And then we got Rotmire, the new Sporefall raid with your Mythic Flex rating. Rotmire, the boss. He looks kind of cool. He's got a lot of ad management going on, which is going to be interesting for pugs and stuff when we do this live on stream. We'll do this raid on stream as soon as it's available. It's going to have spore-fused gear, which is about, I think, 9 item levels higher, or 8 item levels higher than your typical item right now on every single track. It's not going to be upgradable, but it is going to be more powerful than the highest item level of any current track. So that's going to be a good place to get some gear, for sure. And then, obviously, we got a nice little mount here, the Luminous Spore Glider mount. We also have the Lore Walking with the Loa, which we all know is really a prelude into 12.1, preparing us for all that troll lore and everything, so that should be fun. We're going to be doing it with Lily. R.I.P. Lore Walker Cho. He will be missed. Moving on to some other things here. We have Help the Loa Speaker Brack. We know this one, Hatching the Eggs. It's going to be another quest line that you can do, kind of building out this story. And then we have the Dark Spear Dash Micro Holiday happening on June 27th. We have the Turbulent Timeways kicking off on June 30th to August 11th. August 11th, most likely, marking the date that this patch will end, and we will see the beginning of Season 1. That's what it seems like it's going to be. That wouldn't be the first time that they've ended Turbulent Timeways to kick off the next season, so keep an eye on that one. 6 consecutive weeks of this. If you complete 4 dungeons in 4 of the 6 weeks, you'll unlock this beautiful looking mount here. The I don't know what this thing's called. I'm just gonna call it the Icy Boy, okay? You can unlock the Icy Boy mount. This is a really good looking mount. If you miss out on it, again, you can always go back and buy it when the next Turbulent Timeways kicks off. And then finally, to end this patch, it looks like July 7th will kick off the final storyline for this patch. This will kind of advance the Midnight story. We're going to be dealing with Zul'Jan and some of the other Amani trolls, as I said before. Probably a prelude leading into what will be 12.1, the Amani Troll patch is what we're all calling it these days, kind of going to the Isle of Fangs and everything else. Now, here's some more interesting stuff that we really haven't talked about yet. We have a few things. We did talk about abundance and how that's changing right now. You can turn in 8 shards at one time, so that's good for people who've been doing that. Characters, they fixed an issue where hit sound effects were not playing for male orcs and Magar orcs. Interesting. So have you guys just been fighting in silence? I didn't even know this was an error before. But I guess the sound effect is being fixed. For housing, lighting is now available outdoors. That's right, outdoor lighting. We've talked about this before. You'll be able to add lights outdoor. There's going to be a limit, obviously, on the amount of lights. If anyone's seen the Taliesin video where he put like 50 flaming pits outside, it basically broke the entire housing server. So they're not going to allow you to do that, but there is going to be plenty allowed to be able to do that stuff. Housing levels 5 and 6 have their exterior decor limit raised to 300. Housing level 7 to 350. And there's over 100 new common decor can be found in existing neighborhood vendors. So plenty of decor for all the decor whores out there and you player housing Andes. For items, weapons and armor will no longer take durability damage. That's right, we know now the big fix for repair bills is coming in, kind of evening out the playing field between tanks or rogues who use their weapons very, you know those rogues, they be using their weapons real quick. You don't want that. So they're going to be basically eliminating all that extra repair costs that usually hits rogues or other taking specs like prot warriors with their shield tax or, blood DKs. Anyone else taking constant damage, this should be a little bit better for them. For a Galactic, Gladiator, Aspirant, Warmonger, and other crafted PvP equipment have their PvP item levels increased by 9 to keep up with what's currently going on in the game. Also, they've rebuilt the Moth Hunt feature of Harandar, which gives rewards. Players will not lose any existing progress on the Moth collection. And then a few other changes here happening with, things here and there. A little display bar for the Moth Keeper. A bunch of stuff going on with this Moth Keepers. I didn't even know this was such a big thing, but I guess people are doing it a lot. It was broke about 4 to 5 weeks ago, though. That's pretty crazy. For prey events, added a big Prey Hunter Season 1 feat of strength for completing the Prey journey in Season 1. So anybody who hasn't been doing a lot of Prey stuff, I'm one of them. Getting in and getting a feat of strength if you want it will give you kind of a reason to go complete that Prey journey. As for quests, a significant increase in the amount of experience earned for completing the following types of quests. We've talked about this. We have the Delver's Call quests, the Midnight Dungeon quests, the Prey quests, and the weekly renown activities. We're not talking about just like a slight increase in XP here. This is actually going to be an 8x increase almost across the board for a lot of these. So you're going to be able to level up at lightning speed. Between the Turbulent Timeways event and these quest increases, you're going to be like literally flying warp speed through leveling. So good time to level up. Also a good time if you haven't played Midnight yet, a good time to get in and get caught up and quickly hit level cap and then start gearing out. There's plenty of ways to gear out now, so you should be able to do that pretty quickly. Speaking of ways to gear out, we got Ritual Sites and Void Assaults. So Void Assaults will be getting a little bit of an upgrade here in XP as well and rewards, so they'll be kind of keeping up with the current content. But the big one here is Ritual Sites getting Tier 6 difficulty. You require 6 challenges to be able to be selected to do these. The recommended item level is 274. They reward 5 Myth Dawn Crests and 10 Heroic Dawn Crests, which means actually, if you think about it, if you're just farming Myth Crests through these things, that means you do 3 of these, right? You'll get 15 Myth Crests, plus that means you'd also get 30 Heroic Crests. Those are 30 Heroic Crests can be turned in to convert, I think, to 10 or 15 Myth Crests. I forget what the conversion rate is on these crests, but that's another 10 to 15 crests, which means you can, if you're running 3 of these things, you'll be getting about 30 to 35 myth crests out of this. That's pretty crazy. That's a decent amount of crests, and that is uncapped. I mean, you could just infinitely run these things, unlike Delves, where you can get 20 myth crests, but you're limited to 4 per week. So yeah, this is going to be a nice little source here of myth crests. Also, your weekly vault will give you, for tier 5 is the same 4 of 6, so that's good to get more heroic gear out of that if you want it for your vault. There's new weekly quests to take for a tier 6 ritual sites that expand the challenge, and on week 3 and week 6, players can earn extra bonus rolls from these quests. So there you go, more ways to earn bonus rolls. And then they added 2 new achievements. They added the advanced ritual site studies and the pinnacle ritual work. Just for completing, tier 6 with all 8 challenges or completing a tier 6 ritual site. So there you go. For interface options, there's actually a decent amount here. A bunch of changes to damage meters, which honestly were needed for sure. Damage meters are kind of that. I mean, there's a lot of things lacking right now in the Blizzard UI. They're adding things. Right now I play base Blizzard UI. I don't add anything else on top of it really. So I do feel some of the pain points of the base Blizzard UI, and damage meter is certainly one of them. So these are good to see. But first of all, for boss timeline, they're putting in the vertical orientation with now having an option for left or right for the text. Right now, you're locked in. I think the text is on the left. So it's kind of you can basically flip-flop where you want the text on the vertical orientation, which is good. You can also adjust color by gaining, they adjusted the colors for gaining threat and high threat. This is really good because right now the current threat colors are kind of dull. It's like an orangey, like a burnt orange and a red. And you can't really tell sometimes which is which. They're too close for comfort, honestly, so I'm glad they're adding this change. They also added a new option to enable or disable spell alert glows for special procs when having a single button assist on the action bar, so there you go. For single button Andes, that's a good one. The Great Vault Raid Tooltip now displays credit for multiple raids in a better format. The /TM macro command now supports preventing existing raid markers from being overwritten by prefixing the marker index. So there you go, with little, I don't know what the hell they call it, little wavy boy from your keyboard. So putting that in there will stop that from happening. For damage meters, they added an in-group visibility option. In-group visibility option is good. So basically the damage meter itself will not show up unless you're in a group. Once you're in a group, it triggers it to show up on your UI. So it's not always just blocking shit for you, which is nice. They also lowered the minimum window size, allowing you to take the damage meter's window to an even smaller UI shape, which is good. Again, not blocking too much of your screen. Shift-clicking the damage meter row now opens up a details window that stays open until manually closed. And then during PvP activities, damage meter bars now have different colors for allies versus enemies, showing kind of who's on which team, so you can actually tell who's really out there pumping. And they can also show class colors. If that's enabled, the faction icon will show instead of the color, so that's good. Personal resource display customizations here, so let's check these out real quick. New options including controlling overall size, bar width, health bar height, power bar height, padding bars between the bars, opacity, and visibility. So basically just a lot more customization when it comes to options for these things, which is always good to see. The health bar and power bar can now be hidden separately, so you can decide to have one or the other, which is great. Sam, you're still eye level 230. That's absolutely this is ridiculous. Fake lore out there. As I said before, ability to kind of get rid of the health bar or just the power bar, whatever you want there. They also added the options to hide class resource bars, combo points, and soul shards, for example, on a personal resource display and player frame unit, which is great. Added a new show class color checkbox, which changes the health bar to the player's cast color instead of the default green. I know a lot of people like to play like that. I personally care more about that with the raid frames than my personal frame, but I know a lot of people love to just always play in their class color, which is completely fine. Added a new show bar text checkbox, which enables numbers on the health bar and power bar and alternate power bar. The personal resource display also has been updated with new art, and new personal resource display bugs have been fixed for augmentation evokers. Tons of stuff happening here, but like I said, a lot of these notes, actually, I wasn't even realizing. This is a big patch. For a 0.7 patch, it's a decent size, pretty big boy, and a lot of things coming in terms of changes here. Moving on to something really cool here. I don't know if any of you guys have seen these charts before, where over time you kind of see the flip-flopping of things, who takes the lead, who doesn't. This person out here, Jordan, made a little chart here of how basically the meta changed, or the best chart or best class changed for Mythic Plus throughout the season. So let's check this video, this animation out real quick here. So we can see here we started out, what is that? Windwalker Monk up there. Absolutely crank it, and then, oh, look at Demonology, Warlock making, and then Unholy. Unholy going on a run these last couple weeks for sure. Retribution Paladin moving up, and then there they are. That's right, you got your big boy druids, your bear druids, moving way up as they kind of took the lead and really held it for a little while now. That's a pretty cool animation. I like seeing these kinds of things. You also see a lot of the other classes here moving. Frost Mage moving down. We see Resto Shaman moving up at one point. Resto Druid was really taking the lead. Vengeance Demon Hunter, the new boy, really started out high and then kind of moved up and down. They've kind of secured their spot as more of a bottom top 5 here. But cool, I always like looking at these kinds of things. Yeah, nice little animated chart. And this is kind of how things have finished out. For those of you who are still playing through Mythic Plus right now, this is where things currently stand. Nice little chart there. And then finally, I don't look at these often, but when I do, you know, it's something amazing. Another player housing, customized player decor thing that was made in player housing. That's right, somebody actually created a fully blown skeleton of a dragon in their home. This is not a item that they picked up and just hung up. This thing is made up of tons of tiny pieces, and I'll tell you exactly what they used to make this thing. But basically, they have the True Shot skeleton. So the dragon head itself, we all know, we've seen it in many animations. It's an actual dragon skull head. That is the one giant piece here. The rest of these, they have these teaching crystals, which they used for the little points here on the claws and stuff, and then the bones. This is the craziest part. The bones are made of fence posts, guys. If you look hard at this thing, you can actually tell all of these bones are the same length. This guy made these bones out of fence posts.
Another death
H. Nitty, thank you for the Prime. I appreciate that. Thank you for using your Prime here. Death Knight of our Scourge. That's right. Each one of these are just double fence posts here. More fence posts here. He adjusted the size, right? You can kind of click and drag these things. Just like 50 to 60 fence posts to make this thing up. That's pretty crazy. Very creative. I agree. Basically, when player base is seeing stuff like this, they're absolutely begging Blizzard to allow for the copy paste. You guys remember Blizzard recently said not too long ago that they were going to allow players to kind of copy and paste different items they've made in the game into other people's player housing. The player base is dying for this one. We'll keep looking at cool stuff like this. I don't typically keep up with player housing. When it's stuff like this, I got to bring it up. 12.0.7, tons of stuff coming out. And for today, that is all in terms of news.